At 2:13 a.m., the door didn't knock. It fractured. Music that didn't belong in a sleeping house spilled across our hallway, cheap bass, and someone's laughter scraping the paint. I was upright before the thought landed, one hand on the bat, by the nightstand, the other tapping the headboard. Twice the signal for my wife to get the kids into the little reinforced nook we built in the closet, because well habits stick after the service. My name's Rhett Cole. We'd spent the day like a postcard. Cedar Glass Lake was calm as polished stone. The twins fought over who almost caught a fish. Our teenager gloated through a merciless Monopoly win. And Ava roasted marshmallows until they sagged off the sticks like sleepy comets. By 10:30, alarms armed doors checked lights out. And then that sound, the kind that doesn't ask permission, cut straight through the good day and told me the night had other plans. Downstairs looked like a badly lit club stumbled into a Norman Rockwell painting. A dozen people, kids, really mid-20s, filming themselves, one with a selfie stick, like a scepter, someone flicking a lighter over my grandfather's oak table. And then the woman in charge made herself visible the way people do when they've rehearsed it. Platinum hair, glossy smile, that soft power voice they teach in leadership seminars. "Relax," she said, waving her phone like it came with keys. "This is the place we booked. Cedar Ridge Retreats. We're approved." I stepped into the pool of light at the bottom of the stairs. "No," I said, steady, not loud. "This is my house. My wife and 3 kids are upstairs. You broke my lock and you've got 15 seconds to leave before I call the sheriff." Her smile did a quick little glitch. "I'm Marla Keene, Cedar Ridge Association. We maintain standards around the lake. Maybe you misunderstood your listing." The bat kissed the beam beside the fireplace with a crack that swallowed the bass. Everybody froze except one kid in a black hoodie who tried to turn the room into a bar fight. Training's a funny thing. Your muscles remember what your head hasn't had time to say. Wrist, shoulder, floor. Zip tie. I set him near the door, and because I'd installed a bear-proof auto lock last winter, informed the room that the same lock worked just fine on party crashers. You could feel the air change when they realized the only one making decisions was me. Sir, a guy with a backwards cap said, "Because that's the word boys pick when they want to be men, you can't detain us. We got rights. You had choices," I said. "You made the wrong ones." Marla tried the PTA voice. "You're being aggressive. This is a misunderstanding." "Ma'am," I said, pointing with the flashlight to the splintered jam, the shattered vase, the framed picture of my daughter tilted like it wanted to look away. "That's not a misunderstanding. That's intent." 7 minutes later, about right for our county. Blue and red pushed through the Pines, tires on gravel crunched like a sigh. Deputies came in calm and methodical. They separated the selfies from the statements, took photos of the damage, swapped my zip tie for real cuffs, and listened while Marla cried professional tears. "We thought it was vacant. We're community leaders. This will ruin me." The senior deputy nodded like he'd heard the script before. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for felony trespass." The room finally understood where the authority lived. I wish I could say that was the end. It was the beginning of the loud part. By morning, texts from numbers I didn't know asked me to keep things chill. By lunch, an email signed on behalf of the Cedar Ridge Legacy Committee described the event as an unfortunate mix-up, amplified by an aggressive homeowner. By dinner, the HOA Facebook page lit up with coy posts, concern around unsafe behavior near the lake, time to discuss who we allow to live among families. They never typed my name, but they circled my driveway in photos like a vulture over a map. My lawyer, Wyatt Hale, used to be a jag, the kind of man who can dismantle a bad argument with an eyebrow. He told me to save everything, camera cards, voicemails, screenshots. A neighbor, Arturo, slid a thumb drive into my mailbox. His doorbell cam caught Marla at 2:10 a.m., drink in hand, saying, "Worst that happens, the guy calls the cops and we bail. Totally worth it." Later, a young man named Nate showed up in a dented Prius, eyes clear, conscience heavier than his sneakers. "She told us it was hers," he said. "Said you were some off-grid guy who's never around. I wouldn't have come if I'd known." He left me a signed statement and the look people wear when they finally tell the truth out loud. Marla filed first because bullies like to swing soft paper before the hard kind hits back. Excessive force, unlawful detention, emotional distress. She even used the word militia, which I think she pulled from the internet, after she saw a bat and a set of garage pegboards and decided I was the problem with America. We countered with trespass, vandalism, invasion of privacy, and child endangerment. We handed over the videos, the timestamps, the chatter from her youth committee messages, where she typed, "Ghost cabin party tomorrow, Rhett won't be a problem." That line did more work than any speech ever could. The courtroom smelled like old carpet and warm nerves. Marla arrived in white power costume for people who want to look innocent and in charge at the same time. Her lawyer tried the bedtime story version, respected leader, honest mistake, terrifying homeowner with a weapon. Wyatt stood patient as Winter and read from her own email. "Bring your A game. Rhett won't be a problem." He asked if she had permission. No. If she told the group the house was hers. Yes. If she delisted my property from emergency contact rosters 2 days earlier. Also, yes, she'd emailed the board that I was under reconstruction, which would have been news to my not under construction stares. We played the footage. The courtroom watched the can of beer wing past my head like a punctuation mark and sucked in the same breath at the same time. Nate testified, a little pale, solid. She said he barely came here and we were doing the neighborhood a favor. The judge, a woman with a voice that brooked no fluff, ruled without needing to decorate it. Judgment for the defendant. Claims dismissed with prejudice. Evidence forwarded to the district attorney. That should have been the exhale, but Cedar Ridge had rot under the paint. When people realized someone would finally listen, the stories poured in kayaks, borrowed for safety checks, fines for non-compliant wind chimes. HOA funds diverted into community leadership retreats where the receipts said sushi, champagne, and unbelievably a bounce house. The board folded like lawn chairs, resignations, audits, and finally a vote. 90-something% chose the nuclear option, dissolve the HOA. Freeze the treasury, send whatever was left to the auditor and the sheriff. Marla tried to pivot to a new title in a new town. The news trailed her like a shadow on bright concrete. At home, our house didn't feel haunted, just slightly out of place, like someone had borrowed a jacket and hung it back on a different hook. I replaced the broken vase with a small wooden plaque that says in letters you can read without squinting, "Private property ring first." The twins call that night the zombie party, which is their way of telling me they're okay. Our teenager drew a cartoon of me on the stairs with the bat and a speech bubble that says, "Wrong house." I framed it not because I think I'm a hero, but because humor is proof something inside you still works. If you're waiting for me to say I slept like a baby after the verdict, I didn't. I slept like a man who finally put down 50 pounds he didn't know he was carrying. I still do my rounds, flashlight locks, cameras, less out of fear than ritual. Coming back to yourself takes practice. Even now, when the loons call across cedar glass at dusk and the dock clicks softly against its chains, I hear both nights, the quiet one and the loud one, and I like that the quiet wins. One last thing before you go. I know how folks around a lake or a cul-de-sac or a city block can split into teams the minute rules and pride get mixed with property lines. Maybe you think I went too far. Maybe you think I didn't go far enough. Maybe you've dealt with a Marla in a different blazer. Tell me where you draw the line. What counts as defense? What counts as overreaction? And what a community owes the people who live in it. Drop your take in the comments, argue it out, share your own HOA story, or the moment you decided enough was enough. If this hit a nerve, share it with someone who needs to know they're not crazy for insisting their home is their home.